this car more than my beard. I love my beard. What's up, guys? Focus RS Dan here. Just wanted to give you like a 1,200 mile owner review. If you've been following the car, you should know now that it's been in the US for something like 6 weeks or something like that. First in California, and now the rest of the country's getting the car. I've had it for about 3 or 4 weeks. Like I said, 1,200 miles almost on the car. Mostly like city driving around town, a little bit of highway, but not too much. So just wanted to kind of cover a few different things, let you guys know how everything is. So first, I mean, you buy this car for the performance. So as far as power goes for this car, it's pretty fast. I think it's really deceptively fast. Coming from a Mazdaspeed 3 with full 3-inch catless turbo back exhaust and just an intake and an E85 93 mix tune. So the car made somewhere around 290 wheel horsepower and 340 torque or something like that. I don't know, I never had a dyno. And I liked the fact that the turbo would throw you in the back of your seat, but towards the top end of the RPM range, you know, it would die off. It's not the way with this car. It's kind of the opposite. Compared to the Mazdaspeed 3, this car has the same amount of power. Feels like it's roughly the same. The speed weighs a little bit less. The power of each of the vehicles seems roughly the same. Handling for this car is what this car is all about. If you love driving around town, taking corners quick, if you got roundabouts in your neighborhood, this is the car to go for. This car is outstanding around the corners. As most of you guys know, it has all-wheel drive, but it's not your standard all-wheel drive when you think of like a Subaru or a Volkswagen or Evo or whatever. To my knowledge, those are 50% of the power goes to the front axle and 50% goes to the back all the time. I don't know if that is not how it is, but I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. So you're always in all-wheel drive mode. But that's not the case with this vehicle. If you are on the highway and you're just driving 60, 70 miles an hour cruising around, it's front-wheel drive. It's not spinning the rear wheels when you're cruising. You could think of this car and the all-wheel drive system more like all-wheel drive on demand. So it's all-wheel drive when you want it to be all-wheel drive. It's all-wheel drive when you need it to be all-wheel drive. But when you don't, it's not. So cruising, right? Front-wheel drive, what do you need the rear wheels for? You don't. So if it stays in all-wheel drive mode while you're on the highway, you're just going to get less mileage. And that's it. From a stop, the launch control is insane. It's really done well. It's awesome. It's a whole lot of fun. There's just a little bit of squeal from the tires, and then you're off. So when you put the car in launch control, which takes forever, by the way, it's hard to, like, if you're racing someone at a stoplight, in Mexico, you know, somewhere, and you pull up to a stoplight, you gotta spend 10 seconds on your menu here putting on launch control, and the light's green by then. So it's kind of dumb, but I'm sure tuners will fix that. But to get back to the all-wheel drive system, when you turn on launch control, right? You turn on launch control, the rear drive unit is prepping for you to launch, so it already has the car in all-wheel drive mode, essentially, so that when you drop the RPMs, you dump the clutch and you take off, it's already in all-wheel drive. So the rear is already engaged, so you're in, you know, regular all-wheel drive, and you're taking off. Up to 70% of the torque or something can be thrown to the back. So you still have power going to the front, but you just take off. If you don't have the car in launch control, so you're at a stoplight and you just slam on the gas. As soon as the front wheels start to slip, if if there's any detected slip, then it throws power to the rear. And a lot of you may be saying, well, that kind of sucks. If I'm going to slam on the gas, I want the rear wheel drive, or the all-wheel drive immediately. And the thing is, because it's all computer controlled, it takes a millisecond or less. So it's pretty much instantaneous anyway. So it kicks in when you need it. The other thing about the all-wheel drive is going around corners. That's the best part about this car and its all-wheel drive system. The power gets sent to the back around corners and can go to either rear tire. So if I'm taking a right turn and I'm applying some throttle, that power is going to go to the outside rear wheel. So it kind of rotates around the corner, and it really helps you, it's just awesome. Is all I can say. You'd have to kind of experience it, because you can feel it rotate. You can feel the power going to that rear outer tire and just push you through the corner. Another thing is, if you're coming from a front wheel drive vehicle and you drive anything like me, if I'm trying to take a corner fast, I'm coming up to the corner at speed and I kind of let off the throttle to kind of coast through the corner. Now, I'm not on autocross or anything. I haven't done that before. I just like driving fast around town. And so I'm at speed. I'm coming into the corner. I let off the gas, kind of coast through the corner, and then as soon as I start coming out, I start applying throttle again. So the difference is, in this car, if I do that, or if you do that, it's going to feel a lot like a front wheel drive car. There's going to be understeer. And the reason for that is that's just how it is. What you want to do to make the car handle extremely well, and you might have to take some time getting used to this if you're coming from a front wheel drive car, is you need to apply throttle coming around the corner, because that's when it'll throw the torque to the outside rear wheel and rotate you. So instead of coming in at speed, coasting through the corner, and then hitting throttle on the way out, you're coming to the corner at speed, you're hitting throttle while you're on the corner, or coming around the turn, and then into full throttle or whatever coming out of the corner. And it's just great. It just works really well. I like it a lot. It's super fun. So that's kind of how the all-wheel drive system really wakes up around the corners. You need to apply throttle. The more throttle you apply, it feels like the more throttle you apply, the more grip that you have around the corners. And this car grips. There's some body roll, a little bit of body roll around the corners. If you're big into that, there'll be a market for you after this car has been out for a while. But overall, the handling it's superb. Now, like I said, I'm coming from a Mazdaspeed 3, which is front wheel drive. I had the car lowered, but didn't have any other suspension mods. It handled pretty well for front wheel drive. I liked it for what it was, but this is just in a whole nother league. Far, far superior. So the interior and exterior, I got a stealth gray RS1, so the standard seats. I'm really impressed by the seats. They look amazing. They're outstanding looking seats. Mine's only partial leather, the base seats, but they're really nice. I'm 6 foot, 240, 245. The bolsters around my waist hug perfectly. Like it feels like the bolsters around my waist were designed specifically for me, and like how they fit my body. I know some of you guys were concerned about being bigger. I think you'll be fine. Now the seat has its own bolsters as well under your thigh, And I didn't like them initially. A lot of cars, you know, have flat seats. There isn't much bolstering on the side. These Recaros have a lot of bolstering under your thigh. And I didn't like them at first because your legs are more like this, where they're like a V. And I just didn't like them too much. But now that I've driven the car for 1,200 miles, they've broken in a little bit. So I like them now. I like how I sit. So if you're test driving or sitting in the car first time you get in it and you feel that same way where it's pushing you like a V, just know that when they break in, which doesn't take too long, they're going to be comfy. They're going to be real comfy. I like them a lot. I love these seats. I hurt my back like 5 days ago, and I work from home, so I'm sitting in my computer chair, and my back just hurts sitting in the computer chair. I take my lunch break to drive my car, and I don't have pain. Could be because the seats are so comfortable, or I'm just enjoying myself driving the car, but I don't have pain. It's just nice. I like them a lot. The rest of the interior, you know, it's nothing great. If you're coming from an Audi or a BMW or something, you know, it's probably going to be a downgrade. But I don't know about anybody else. I didn't buy this car for the interior. As long as it's got what I need in the interior, I don't need any excess. So I'm fine with the interior not being, you know, upscale. Most things are plastic. The Sync 3 works awesome. Works fantastic. It's super fast and responsive. I like it a lot. This infotainment center or system or whatever that I had in the Mazda was pretty nice. It was pretty responsive, pretty quick, but this is just better. It's just, I mean, I had a 2013, so we're looking at 3 years of technology going by, and you can tell. I sit down in the car, I turn the car on, and Bluetooth is connected, and I can jump on Pandora within like 10 seconds. So it's really fast. As far as like Sync 3 integration with Android and iOS, there's something like 10 apps that you can install on your phone and then control on the infotainment center. Another cool thing that the RS has that I didn't know about is the automatic unlocking of the car. You have your keys in your pocket, you walk up to the car, put your hand on the door handle, and it unlocks. Get in, start the car with the push button, you're off. Leave the keys in your pocket forever. Man, I love this car. Another thing to talk about is capability of this car. What can it become? What is its potential? And we know from the EcoBoost Mustang that this engine could handle, you know, like 400 wheel horsepower or something like that, which is what we see on the stock turbo EcoBoost Mustangs, like the quickest ones out there, like 400 wheel, I think, or three, just under, or something like that. So the engine we have here is EcoBoost engine from the Mustang, and it's altered. So the hot side of the turbo is bigger, I believe. The head has been worked by Cosworth, and some of the engine internals were strengthened. I can't remember the specifics of it. But if we look at the EcoBoost Mustang, we can say that the potential is at least this, and probably better. So if we're seeing 400 wheel horsepower out of an EcoBoost Mustang, and we have a bigger turbo in this car, we should see the same, even with the all-wheel drive. Or because of the all-wheel drive. If it was just rear, it should be a little more than 400, or a little bit more than what the EcoBoost Mustangs have the potential to put down. So I would assume that we should be able to hit up to 400 wheel horsepower on the stock block, stock turbo. Then the question is, though, what about the rear end? And that is the burning question. This rear drive unit, this all-wheel drive system, hasn't been used in a performance vehicle before. And that is the question mark. So from what I understand with the system itself, it shouldn't blow up. It shouldn't explode. What should happen is, if the car, if the rear drive unit is too hot, it shuts off. It protects itself, much like a computer that gets too hot and shuts off. So when it shuts off, you're just in front wheel drive mode, which is good that happens, so you don't break anything, but also puts limitations on what the rear drive unit can do, at least in stock form. So there was, a long time ago, I can't remember how many months back, one of the guys from GKN, which is the company that designed the rear drive unit, was on that NASIOC, or however you say it, forum, and he was talking about the rear drive unit being pretty much at its max from the factory. So what does that mean, though? What does that mean that it's at its max? How much power, if any, can you throw at it before it starts having trouble? And then what kind of trouble does it have? These are the questions that people need to experiment with, upping the power to see what happens with the rear drive unit. Does it actually blow up? Does it just shut off? Does it not take the power? Can it not put it down? Does the rear drive unit slip? Nobody knows yet. Nobody knows for certain what happens. It's supposed to not blow up, but we'll see. That's the big burning question, and that's what the Subaru owners keep harping at, because it's not real all-wheel drive.